Okay, so we are going to read the question, right? So we have question one, company financial statements, and then it reads as follows. The information relates to Ivory Park Limited for the financial year ended 29 February 2025. This is the most important thing to take note of, right? So we must write down our financial year. We know that it is beginning in the month of March, the 1st of March 2023 to be specific. Then we have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, and then this is where it ends on the 29th of February 2024, right? That's our 12 months. Are we on the same page? Okay, so the pre-adjustment amount here it is 158,000 rands, 100 with regards to rent income, obviously, as I've stated. So now we can read the adjustments and actually show how do we classify it, what's the adjustment trying to show, and all of those things, how do we present it in our statement of comprehensive income, right? So it reads as follows, the adjustment. A tenant is renting an office from Ivory Park Limited. Rent for this office has been received up to 30 April 2024. Rent was decreased by 8% on 1 December 2023 on the office rented. Okay. So guys, as we can see here, by just reading, no, by just reading through this adjustment, it is evident what should be clicking to you is that this adjustment is actually testing for the matching principle, right? The adjustment is testing for the matching principle. And why do we say that? Wait, let me just admit some people into the meeting. Let me just admit some people into the meeting. Okay. So what gives that off is actually the second sentence, which says rent for this office has been received up until 30 April 2024, right? Because we already know that our year is ending on the 29th of February 2024. However, we've received up until April. So we have February, March, and then we have April, up until 30 April 2024. So as you can see, we have received for 2 extra months. Now we have received this rent income for 2 extra months. So I have a question before I move further. Now, just answer it in the chat. How many months did we receive this rent income for this financial year? For how many months? Please just write in the chat your answer. 14 months. Thank you. We've received for 14 months. Who was that? Samsung. Okay, just not seeing a name. Okay, so we've received for 14 months this rent. That's very important for us to take note of, right? And then let's see. We have another sentence here which says rent was decreased by 8% on 1 December 2023 on the office rented. Okay, let's see. Back to our financial year. On the 1st of December, obviously, when they say 1st of December, it means we also include the month of December, yeah? When we count. So these months here that I'm, circling with a green color, that's when we have an 8% decrease. Yeah? That's when we have an 8% decrease. So let me just show for every month. We have minus 8%, minus 8%, minus 8%, and then minus 8%, as you can see. Yeah? So guys, there's different ways, because if you can remember last week, we were looking at an adjustment and it was saying, I think it was saying rent decreased by, a certain amount, but in this one, they're saying rent decreased by 8%. So now they are giving us a percentage, right? So that's why you need to be able to, deal with anything that can be given to you. Any situation, any scenario that can be given to you, you need to be aware of how to calculate each and every, in each and every given scenario. So here's what we are going to assume. Né? We will assume that before this 8% decrease, right? Before the decrease, here's what we are going to assume. Let me just write. Before the decrease, we will assume that we were receiving a rent of 100%. I hope that's clear, né? Since they gave us, it decreased by 8%. So we will just say before, this is what we are assuming, before, the decrease, we were just receiving 100%, which is just the full rent, right? And then obviously after the decrease, now we are no longer receiving 100%. What we are receiving actually is 100% minus 8%, which is actually 92%, right? That's what we were receiving, 92%. So this is very important because this is going to help us a lot to calculate our rent income. What are we doing here? Before I even go further, what are we doing? Let's just go back, and trace our steps. We figured the first thing that this adjustment is testing the matching principle, right? So the matching principle, I'll just refresh you guys. It's a generally accepted accounting practice that states that income and expenses should be recorded in the correct financial year. So we can see here we have an income, which is rent income, right? However, this income, we have received it for 2 months in advance. So we classify it as what? These 2 months that have been paid extra, we classify them as income received in advance, right? Or the other word which we like to use is deferred income, right? Income received in advance. So we need to, deal with it. We already know that if something has been received in advance, we just have to calculate these 2 months here and then subtract them, from our financial statements, from the statement of comprehensive income. We need to subtract the amount. It does not belong to the current financial year, right? So that's what we need to do. That's the roadmap. However, now let's look at how do we actually do that? How do we subtract, right? So we go back to here now, that before the decrease, we know that we were receiving rent of 100%. And then after the decrease, we were receiving rent of 92%. So let's see the months. How many months do I have before the decrease happened? Né? Meaning from the 1st of March and then up until here, November, the 30th of November. How many months do we have here? Can I see in the chat how many months before the decrease? Let's count. I see 9 months. I see 9 months in the chats. Let me see again. Did I read properly? Yeah, other guys, other people, please come in. Please participate. I only see one person who's been answering here in the chat. So let's please keep the participation going. So 9 months, let's count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Okay, so that's 9 months. Thank you, guys. It's 9 months. So what are we gonna do with these 9 months? So remember that here, this is before, right, the decrease. So we know that for each month, we were actually receiving 100%. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a calculation which looks a bit, a bit weird, but yeah, just bear with me. We have 9 months and we will multiply it by 100%. Né? So this 9 months multiplied by 100% will give us 900%. Né? I know it looks weird. If you don't want to get confused, then maybe we can just remove these percentage signs, ne? We can just remove these percentage signs, because some of you will say, no, if we say 100% times 9, it will not give us 900%, which is correct, but that's how we are going to look at it, right? And then that's for before now. That's for before the decrease. And then when we go to after the decrease, or when the decrease happened, and then the months after thereafter, we can see that we have how many months? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We actually have 5 months. And then we know that after the decrease, we were receiving Tshwarelo, please stop writing on my screen because you're disturbing me. Please stop writing on my screen. You're disturbing me. Please, guys. If you don't know what to do, just don't touch the screen because I'm being disturbed here. Okay, so we have 5 months, and then we know that we were receiving 92% after the decrease, right? So we are literally going to do the same thing and say we have 5 and we multiply by 92. What's that going to give us? Can you guys give me the answer in the chat? 5 multiplied by 92, what does that give us? Okay, I see 460. Can I get another? Okay, we have 460. Okay, that gives us 460, right? So this is basically what we do from here. We take the 900 and we add it with the 460. Yeah? So we say 900 plus 460. That will be what? 1,360, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's 1,360. Thank you. I see you have confirmed in the chat. So why are we doing this? Né? This 1,360, it's in the form of a percentage. And then it represents the rent income which we received for the financial year. Or to be specific, it represents the rent income that we received for the 14 months. 14 months. Né? Let me mute this person. Guys, please mute your mics. Né? Unless you want to say something, please mute your mics. I can't mute. Samsung SM8065F, please mute your mic. So back to what I was saying. This 1,360, it represents the rent income we received for the 14 months. Né? And then remember that our pre-adjustment amount that we were given, obviously at first, it's 158,000 rands 100. So they are literally the same. Né? 158,100, because the 158,100 represents what? The rent income received, but now in terms of rent amounts. Guys, please mute yourselves. Samsung SM, please mute your mic. So, sorry for that, guys. Sorry for that. This is what we have, all right? This is what we have. Okay. And then, now, what are we trying to do? We are trying to figure out how much did we actually, receive here, né, for each month. But then obviously this is when the decrease took place. So I can say it this way. This is when we're actually receiving 92%, right? So there's a method that we use in accounting, which is what I want to follow. I have. I'm sure most of you are aware of it, né? What I want over what I have. So that's what we're going to use. We'll say 158,100 multiplied by what I want. What I want actually is the 92%, because that's, for 1 month after the decrease happened. Over what I have. What I have, remember, we said these two, they literally tell us the same thing. It's just that this one is in the form of a percentage and this one is in the form of rent amount. But both of them, they tell us this is the rent income we received for the 14 months. Yeah? So what I have is the 1360. So you're literally going to punch this in your calculator and please write down in the chat, what does this give you when you punch this thing? 158,100 multiplied by 92 over 1360. What does it give you? I see 10,695. Can someone else? Okay. Thank you guys. I see. 10,695. So we have 10,695. So now we know that after the decrease happened, each and every month, we were actually receiving a rent income of 10,695 as our calculation is showing, right? But remember that we have 2 extra months. Né? These 2 extra months are the ones we are trying to subtract. So now we are going to say 10,695 and multiply it by 2. So we can see for the 2 extra months, that's how much. Né? Can you write in the chat how much this is? 10,695 multiplied by 2, 21,390. Thank you, guys. 21,390. 21,390. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your participation. So we can see for these 2 extra months, we actually received 21,390. So this is the amount we actually have to subtract from our statement of comprehensive income, right? So let's see, how do we deal with that in our statement of comprehensive income? We have, the statement of comprehensive income. Obviously, this is a rent income, so it would be recorded in the other operating income section, right? And then we have rent income. And then, we start with the pre-adjustment amount, which was, let me see the chat. What are the people saying? Okay, just writing the answer, no problem. The pre-adjustment amount, here it is, the one that was given, 158,100. So we start with the 158,100, and then we subtract the 2 months that we got in advance, which is 21,390. So we subtract the 21,390, and then what does that give us? Let's see in the chat. What does that give us? We already have an answer. 136,710. 136,710. I see people are confirming. So that gives us 136,710. So obviously the 136,710 is the only amount, for rent income that we can account for the current financial year, right? And then we are not done. This guys, please, let's meet ourselves. Who's this? Sakile, meet yourself, please. So the 21,390, it also goes to the statement of financial position. Remember, né? Remember that this is an income received in advance. So this is a current liability. So obviously in the statement of financial position, we will record it and under trade and other payables, né? Because it is a what's this, current liability. So in the statement of financial position, which is known as your balance sheet, that's when you are going to add 21,390 under trade and other payables. I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. Any questions, guys? That's how you deal with it. Any questions? Feel free to write a question in the chat or unmute yourself and say something so we can have a discussion before we actually move to the next question similar to this one, but different, obviously. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Any questions? Feel free to ask, and you shall be answered. Okay, no questions. So I'm taking. Okay, no, I can see. Why is it payable and not receivable? Okay. Who is this? Lee Chanti Pariach? Okay. So for for you asking this question, I'm already seeing that you were not attending our previous classes. Right? So simply because why it's a payable, as I said, firstly, it is a what's this? A current liability, right? Because it's an income received in advance. Remember, we received this income before we have earned it. We have received the income before we have rendered the service or before we have, given the good. But in this case, is to have rendered the service, which is to provide now, accommodation, yeah, in the space of rent, right? Office space, right? So if anything has to happen before these 2 months are fulfilled, before these people, before our tenants, they actually occupy our office space for these 2 months, if anything has to happen and we are unable to offer them that, space for them to rent, we have to pay them back. So therefore, in accounting, we have to, classify that as the, as a liability until, until it actually happens, Yeah. So you're saying, okay, now I understand service is still owed. Yeah, exactly. So after the 2 months happens, we're actually going to, that's when we will take it back and yeah, change it. But that's a story for another day. That's, I think that's university level for you guys. But for now, it just ends here, right? So any other questions before we move forward? Any other questions before we move forward? If no questions, just give me a thumbs up and then I'll continue. If no questions, give me a thumbs up in the chat and then I'll continue to the next. Okay, I'm getting thumbs up. Moving on to the next. Here's our next question. We're dealing with a different question here. So, we have the following. The question reads as follows. The new question. PayPal Limited, they say you are provided with the information for the financial year ended 28 February 2021. So obviously the important thing, we must write when our financial year begins, which is March, the 1st of March 2020, to be specific. So we have March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, until the 28th of February 2021. Okay, so remember, guys, we're still dealing with rent income. So now we are actually given the pre-adjustment trial balance. Let's see. Rent income, what amount do we have here? We have an amount of 208,250. for rent income, that's the pre-adjustment amount, right? Okay. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the adjustment. We're gonna go to the adjustment. Okay, here it is. So they say the premises have been rented for the past 5 years. The rent for March 2021 has been received and recorded due to lockdown. The rent was decreased by 25% per month from for only 3 months from April to June 2020. So this is a different type of you know question. So let's just unpack it. What's happening here? They say the premises have been rented for the past 5 years. No problem. That's good. That makes sense. We understand that. And they say the rent for March 2021. Remember, guys, uh, March 2021 does not fall into our current financial year, because our financial year is ending 28 February 2021. However, they say the rent for March 2021 has been received and recorded. So we need to actually, let's just write that down, that we also received for, up until 30 March 2021. So that's an extra month. So before I move forward, we already know that we are being tested for the matching principle. Ne? We already know. We are being tested for the matching principle. We have to do what? Subtract. So my question here for you guys is, how many months did we receive our rent? In this scenario, just write your answers in the chat. How many months? How many months have we received our chat? Our. I see 11 months. I see 13 months. Which one is correct? I see 13 months again. Okay. It's actually 13 months. As we can see, guys, it's actually 13 months. So that's something we need to take note of. It is 13 months, right? Okay, so now we'll move to the other part. So they say due to the lockdown, the rent was decreased by 25% for months. The rent was decreased by 25% per month for only 3 months from April to June 2020. So let's see here. We have April to June, right? That's the 3 months, April, May, and June. Within these 3 months, that's where we had a decrease of 25%. As we can see. So remember, what we are trying to do now is to find out this 1 month, because it's extra, right? And then we are going to subtract it from our, what's this, statement of comprehensive income. So already, this is an income that was received in advance. So this is deferred income or income received in advance, right? So it's literally the same as the previous example. However, different scenario. So they say we need to take note of the 3 months that we had, minus 25% or decrease of 25%. So we already know before the decrease, we were receiving 100%. Before the decrease, we were receiving 100%, right? So before the decrease, we were actually receiving 100%, which was only for this month of March. And then we have April, May, and June. That's when we were receiving what? let me write during, meaning during the decrease, ne? During the decrease, we were receiving now 100% minus 25%, which is actually 75%. Yeah? That's 75% that we were receiving just for these 3 months only. And then after, obviously, it means that after we went back to receiving 100% again. Do you see that? Because it's only here we were receiving 100%, and then for these 3 months, we are receiving the 75%. So obviously, from after, we are back to 100%, né? Because it was just for these 3 months due to the lockdown. So well, I'll just write it here. After the decrease, we were back to 100%, because that was only, we only did a decrease for 3 months. You know, we are considering our clients. Okay, it's COVID. You can remember, if you can remember, back in COVID lockdown, all of those things. You know, people are not really going to work. People are not, you know what I'm trying to say. People are not getting an income as they are used to. Others are getting retrenched. You know, a lot of things are happening. So we're like, no, let's just give you guys, you know, a 25% decrease for these 3 months. So now let's calculate for the months, yeah, where we were receiving 100%. How many months are there? Can you write in the chat? How many months did we receive 100%? Please write in the chat. How many months? How many months? I see 10. I see 10. I see 9 months. I knew I was gonna get a 9 months. I see 7 months. Whoa. Where did we get the 7 months? I'm curious to know that. So let's see, guys. Né? What's gonna help us here is our financial year. Né? What's gonna help us? Nothing else will help us except for our financial year. Let me do a different color. Let's tick. Né? Wherever we have 100%. Remember, these 3 months here, it's 75. So we're literally saying, except for these 3 months. That's basically what we are saying. Né? We're literally saying, except for these 3 months. So we have one where we got 100%. Then we are back here in July. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the extra month, which was March and 10. So it's 10 months, no, guys? It's 10 months, as you can see. So we will say 10 multiplied by the 100%. And then we add it with the, now we go to the 75%. This we already know. It was actually told to us in the adjustment that it's for 3 months. Yeah? So we will just say 75 multiplied by 3. If you can look at the, let me just write it like this. Né? Let me say 3 multiplied by 75. If you can look at this, we have the 10 here and we have the 3 here. 10 plus 3, that's 13, which represents the 13 months, the full 13 months in which we received our rent income, right? So we're on the right track. So just punch this, everything like this with the brackets in your calculators. And what does it give us? Né? What does it give us, guys? Punch in your calculator. Let's see what it gives us. 1,225. Are we all getting that? I see 1,225. Let's confirm others. Let's confirm. 1,225. Okay, thank you. So we know it gives us 1,225%, right? So this is for the 13 months, for the full 13 months. So the 1,225% is equivalent now to the 208,250 mentioned within the pre-adjustment trial balance, right? The 208,250, as you can see. Yeah? So why are we doing this? Obviously, so that we can get the 1 month here, yeah? Which is just literally 100%. No problem. So we will do as follows. 208,250 times what I want, which is 100% over what I have, which is the 1,225. What does that give me? Punch in your calculator, write your answers in the chat. What does that give me? 208,250 times 100 over 1,225. Okay, I see 17,000 rands. I see 17,000 rands again. Are we all getting 17,000 rands? Okay. So we know we were getting 17,000 rands, right? So it's only for 1 month. We don't really have to do anything. It's just for this month, the 17,000 rands. We don't have to multiply by anything because the extra amount was only for 1 month. Né? So we already know this is an extra. So we need to remove it from our income statement, our statement of comprehensive income. So it's under the other operating income section, right? And then we have rent income. So we start with the pre-adjustment amount here. It is 208,250. We have to subtract it. We subtract 17,000. What's our answer? Let's see answers in the chat. 208,250 minus 17,000 rands. I see a 191,250. Are we all getting the same? Are we all getting the same? Let's see. Let's confirm, guys. Okay. We are getting the 191,250. Yeah? So here we go. 191,250. This is what's going to our financial year with regards to the statement of comprehensive income. So the 17,000, we already know it's a current liability, right? Because it was received in advance. It's an income that was received in advance. So we go to the statement of financial position, our balance sheet. We go to the current liabilities section, where we will find trade and other payables. And then we're just going to add the 17,000 rands. As easy as ABC. Guys, do you guys see how easy this is? Like, do you literally see how easy this is, guys? By just knowing, what they are, what is required of us. Before we jump into calculating, before we jump into doing whatnot and whatnot, we just have to find out what is required of us. So without wasting any further time, I will just move to the next question, and then I will open the Q&A for once we are done. Because we have the last question for, we have a last question. Yeah, we have a last question. And then, where we are going to be looking at the rent income. And then from there, I'll open a floor for questions, So let's just move to the next one. We have Prudence Limited, and they say the information relates to the financial year ended 28 February 2022. So we know our our financial year rather is starting 1 March 2021. Then we have March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, and February. So we are ending on 28 February 2022. right? Yes. So we disregard everything else. We are just looking at rent income. Yeah? We are looking at rent income as we have been doing with other questions, rent income. So as you can see, the pre-adjustment amount here for rent income is actually 102,400 rands. No problem. Let's look at the adjustments. It's this one here, the last one here. It reads as follows. The tenant occupies part of the premises from 1 May 2021. He has not paid the rent for January and February 2022. Yeah. So let's see what is actually happening here. Yeah? That's why I'm saying you need to, with accounting, you need to understand, guys. You shouldn't rush to answer. This is different from the previous, adjustments we were dealing with. But it's still with regards to rent income, but it's different. Let's see why. They say the tenant occupies part of the premises from 1 May 2021. So we have March, April, May. So we know we are starting here, May, right? No problem. We are not starting at March. We are not starting at April. We are starting at May. Okay. And obviously, 1 May just means the month of May is included. Yeah? And then they say he has not paid the rent for January and February 2022. So meaning we only received up until December. What circling here with a red color, that's the months we received. But we did not receive, as they're saying, for January and February. Yeah? So what's going to happen now? What's going to happen? We, in this case, they are not necessarily testing the matching principle because they didn't. Obviously, matching principle, what the first thing that gives off matching principle is if you have received for the following financial year. However, in this case, there's nothing like that. No? They're actually saying that for January and February, which is in our financial year, we did not receive that. No? So meaning our tenants, they were staying here for January and February. They used the premises for January and February for the current financial year, but they did not pay. Meaning they are owing us. They used our premises. However, they haven't paid us. They literally said it. He has not paid the rent for January and February 2022. So these 2 months, it's owed to us. We have not received the 2 months. It's owed to us. So what are we supposed to do now? We are supposed to find out how much are these 2 months and what do? We must add. Now we're not subtracting, we are adding to show that we are actually supposed to have received an amount of such, né? Meaning an amount that includes these extra 2 months because we have earned that income for these 2 months. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense. So this one is easy, yeah, because they didn't say there's a decrease or there's an increase, any of those things. They didn't say that. Yeah? So my question is, how many months, yeah, how many months did we receive rent income? Can I get answers in the chat? How many months did we receive rent income? How many months? I see 10, I see 8. Okay. Guys, let's give answers. How many months? I'm already seeing 2 answers. Okay, I see another 8. Okay, I see 8 again. So guys, I think it's clear. It's 8, né? Why we are looking at the red part, né? The months that I have circled in the red part. These are the months we have received. If you are saying 10, that means you are also counting January and February. But remember, they said we did not, he has not paid for January and February rent. So it's 8, né? Let's count. Starting from May. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we actually received the rent for 8 months. And then how much was the amount that we have been given? 102,400 rands. That's the pre-adjustment amount. Ne? Rent income, it was given for an amount of 102,400 rands. That's pre-adjustment. So simple what we're going to do now to get, we want to see for per month, right? We will literally just say 102,400 rands divided by 8 months. What does that give us? Answers in the chat, ne? Answers in the chat. I see 12,800 rands. Let's see others. What are your answers? 102,400 divided by 8 months or divided by 8. What does it give us? Okay, we're all getting 12,800 rands. So the nice part about this is that we know for the full 8 months or for the full year, it's just 12,800. There's no decrease, there's no increase. Ne? It's just clean 12,800 rands. So what we were going to do now, we know that we are owed for 2 months. Ne? We are owed for January and February. So obviously we will say 12,800 multiplied by 2. Can I see answers in the chat? How much is that? 12,800 multiplied by 2. I see 25,600 rands. 25,600 rands. Okay. So that's 25,600 rands. Né? 25,600 rands. So before we show how do we actually deal with this in the statement of comprehensive income, let's do the following. We are dealing with rent income. So this is an income we're dealing with. However, this income, we have not received it in our current financial year. We have earned the income. So it is income earned, right? We have earned the income because the tenants have occupied our space for the year. However, they haven't paid us for 2 months. So it is income that has been earned, however, not yet received. We have earned the income. That's the important part. However, we have not received it. What do we classify it as? Income earned, but not yet received. Can I see answers? What do we classify as? Answers in the chat. Let's see answers in the chat. We have income earned, but not yet received. Come on, guys, quickly. Okay, I'm not seeing answers. I'll just give it off. It's accrued income, guys. Oh, I already see answers. Okay, accrued income. It's accrued income. Accrued income. Yeah? It is accrued income. Income that has been accrued. Right? Yes. So we already know we have to add these 2 months. Né? And the 2 months they are worth 25,600 rands. We have to add them in our financial statements. So we will start in the statement of comprehensive income, other operating income, section, and then we have rent income, and then we start with the pre-adjustment amount, which is 102,400 rands. However, this time we add, how much do we add? the 2 months that we are owed, which is 25,600 rands. And then how much will it be? Answers in the chat. How much will it be? Answers in the chat, guys. I think it's 128,000, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly. 128,000 rands. 128,000 rands. So this is the amount that should go to our income statement, statement of comprehensive income. However, this 25,600, we take it to our financial position, statement of financial position, under the current assets section, and we will record it under trade and other receivables. And then we are just gonna add 25,600 rands, because obviously that's an accrued income. The accrued income is actually classified as a current asset, right? Because we still now, this is, income and that hasn't been received, past the due date, past its due date. So it's now an asset, It's now as an asset, and then we are going to reverse it as soon as we receive the amount, right? So that's all with regards to today's lesson, guys. I hope um this lesson was actually beneficial to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Now we can open an opportunity for questions. If you have questions, let's see in the chat, what are your questions? Let's see, what are your questions? Or just open your mic. Now you're allowed to open your mic and just, ask, and let's see how we can help you. Let's see how we can help you. Anyone with a question? If you don't have a question, give me a thumbs up so I can know that, no, you guys are good. You've listened, you're understanding. Okay, I'm seeing a thumbs up. I'm seeing a thumbs up, 2 thumbs ups. So we are good. No more questions. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up, so that means we're good. Before we leave, I wanna just say the following. Tomorrow we are gonna meet at school. Please, let's attend. Tomorrow we're gonna meet. So I just wanna show you something, guys. Before we can leave, I just wanna show you something that I want you guys to do as your homework. I'm not really giving you a homework that you should write. It's a task now. Yeah. Just wanna show you guys something quickly before we can leave, before we can end this session. Just taking a while to so we have here's my channel. Now I've posted some 2 videos so far. And this is where I'll be uploading our recordings. Ne? As you've seen for class 1, here it is. I've uploaded it already today. I've sent you guys the link. I see 17 people have viewed, so meaning you guys have viewed. Okay, no problem. That's good. So I also have some previous videos, ne, which are with regards to, it's literally what we've been doing, but they are different question papers. Ne? So what I want from you guys is to watch from this video here. Ne? Let me say from latest, yeah, so it can be in order. From this video here, this one, because this is the first video I've made. Ne? Yeah, from here, you are gonna watch the first video, and then you're gonna go within that order. Ne? You can just filter here and say latest, and then just start here. From this one, watch the second one, watch the third one, watch the fourth one, fifth, sixth, seventh. Just 7 videos. Still talking about rent income, but there's also others where it's rent expense. Ne? As you can see here, we have rent expense. So please, guys, I would advise you to watch, because if you remember, I've told you, we have had a conversation that you need to practice accounting. You need to practice accounting. Ne? Okay, some of you guys complaining about data. Well, if you have problem with data, you can just download the video quickly, ask for hotspot somewhere, download the video, watch it offline. Ne? It's not a compulsory thing. However, it's going to be beneficial, all right, for you. It's going to be very beneficial. And yeah, as time goes on, I'll just continue making other videos. I'll inform you guys when I make some more videos. But also just know our recordings will be, uploaded here. I will try and upload the recording for today's class. I'll try and upload it today. Hopefully, maybe in the later hours of today, it will be up as well. So yeah, my goal is to so that every Tuesday I actually upload our recordings here, so the others who are not able to join, they can actually view them. Né? Yeah, you guys need to practice. Accounting is a practical subject. You need to practice. If you don't practice, nothing good is going to happen. There's no miracle that's going to happen. You just need to practice, right? So yeah, since there's no questions, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys for those who have attended. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm seeing a question. Let me see, what are they saying? If we have questions on the video, can we follow and will you respond? Yeah. So I think to make it easier, if you have a question on the video, just write in the comment section of that video. Ne? It's gonna notify me on my side that there's a comment, and then I will get to it. Ne? As soon as I see it, I will answer it. I will answer it. And maybe if you can see that I haven't answered tomorrow, you can remind me when you see me that hey, I asked the question there in the comment section, but I didn't get a response. Then we can talk about it. Né? So yeah, see you guys tomorrow at school. Remember, we're meeting at school tomorrow, 3 p.m. up to 4 p.m. See you guys there. We're continuing, but this was the end for rent income. We'll be doing different stuff. Né? We'll be moving on to different adjustments. This was the last part of us doing rent income. I will decide which one to do for tomorrow, and then you guys will know, during tomorrow's class. So, okay, Have a good night. Have a productive night. Keep working, keep practicing, keep studying. See you guys tomorrow.